It's 6 p.m. on a Monday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's start with the headlines. President Park Geun-hye joins a movement urging lawmakers to pass labor reform and other bills designed to help improve people's livelihoods or risk facing another financial meltdown. The main opposition Minju Party boycotts three-way talks on settling differences on important bills and redistricting constituencies, while the ruling party chair claims reform bills are being used as political bargaining chips by the opposition. Asian shares bounce back to make up for some early losses, but uncertainties caused by dipping oil prices linger on. We started Korea's top office. President Park Geun-hye has joined a public movement calling on lawmakers to promptly pass pending economy-related bills. After receiving a second policy briefing from her economy team on Monday, the president signed the petition that aims to gather 10 million signatures. Song Ji-yeon has our top story.
During a keynote speech ahead of a second policy briefing meeting for this year, President Park warned that Korea could face another financial meltdown if labor reform and other bills aimed at improving the livelihoods of the public are not passed. She wasted no time in signing a petition calling on the National Assembly to expedite passing those bills, saying time is ticking. Business organizations have started a campaign to gather 10 million signatures from the public to urge lawmakers to pass pending bills to revitalize the economy.
이것은 국회가 그 역할을 제대로 못하니까 국민들이 나서서 바로 잡으려고 하는 것이 아닌가 생각합니다. 앞으로 국회가 국민들로부터 아예 외면당하는 이런 절박한 상황까지 가지 않기를 바라고 부디 국민들과 경제 단체들의 이야기에 귀를 기울여서 최대한 빨리 입법 문제를 도와주시기 바랍니다.
Monday's policy briefing focused on boosting new growth engines, with the president saying Seoul should make another great leap forward based on a creative economy and cultural prosperity. She called on ministers to make use of the 17 innovation centers set up across the nation to create jobs and match job seekers with employers by launching employment zones in each center. Cabinet members also laid out their plans to make Korea one of the world's top 7 countries in the biohealth industry by focusing on R&D and develop creative contents to attract foreign tourists, as 2016 marks the beginning of a 3-year Visit Korea campaign.
President Park singled out financial reform as the key to accelerating development of new growth engines and stressed the need for deregulation and implementation of key reform tasks to make sure people can benefit from her 3-year economic innovation plan. Song Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Korea's Science and Culture ministries are focusing on plans to help realize President Park Geun-hye's vision for the creative economy and cultural convergence. The ministries laid out their plans in a briefing for the president. Ji-yeon brings us a summary of the second of 5 sessions President Park will have with government bodies this month.
6 government offices, including the Ministry of Science, ICT, and Future Planning, outlined their policies for the year in a briefing to President Park Geun-hye on Monday. Their focus will be on boosting the government's growth initiatives through its vision for achieving the creative economy and cultural convergence. The ministries pledged to work toward creating a mutually beneficial corporate environment among the country's big conglomerates, startups, and small and medium-sized companies by utilizing a network of 17 creative economy centers dedicated to spearheading regional innovation and entrepreneurship.
We plan to make employment zones in the Centers for Creative Economy and Innovation by June and help build infrastructure for digital cultural content through creative economy valleys in Seoul's metropolitan districts of Sangam and Pangyo, which are expected to become Asia's largest startup and cultural hubs.
The ministries also hope to inject a combined $65 billion into nurturing core growth industries such as fintech, short for financial technology. The Centers for Creative Economy and Innovation were built across the country to offer a wide range of practical support to IT startups to increase their investments, expand their client base, and provide opportunities for overseas expansion. Aside from that, the Culture and Tourism Ministry plans to dispatch 1,000 artists to 300 companies to help nourish innovative thinking and create cultural platforms. It also hopes to lift the number of inbound tourists to 20 million by creating leisure and entertainment complexes equipped with shopping and casino facilities. The health ministry says it'll work toward easing regulations in the biohealth sector and support the development of telemedicine systems in rural areas. The Korea Communications Commission says it will ease regulations to allow ground wave channels to broadcast in ultra-high definition, in addition to increasing the number of startups using location-based services. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
The chair of Korea's ruling Saenuri Party held a New Year's press conference on Monday. Kim Il-sung stressed the need to carry out broader reforms in 4 major areas, namely labor, finance, education, and the public sector. Our Ji-yeon tells us more.
The ruling Saenuri Party chief Kim Il-sung stressed that reform of 4 sectors was essential to breathing new life into Korea's economy.
Undertaking structural reforms in labor, finance, education and public sector will help rebuild Korea's economy and spur growth through deregulation initiatives. Labor reform is critical to job creation, narrowing the wage gap and improving job stability.
High youth unemployment has emerged as a major social problem in Korea, prompting calls for more active measures to address the issue. Kim urged the main opposition Minju Party of Korea to stop impeding progress of economic and labor reform bills, accusing them of using related bills as political bargaining chips. The ruling party chief also stressed that the continued threats from North Korea are weighing heavily on Seoul's fragile economy.
Security-wise, North Korea's 4th nuclear test is heightening tensions on the Korean peninsula and in Northeast Asia. Seoul's economy continues to feel the burden of security risks posed by the unstable communist state in the north.
Kim claimed the recent provocation exemplifies the need for Parliament to pass a terrorism prevention bill as well as the North Korean human rights bill to protest human suffering under Kim Jong-un's rule. Now that the ruling Saenuri Party chief has delivered his message, we'll have to wait and see how the opposition party chief responds to the request in his New Year's address on Tuesday. Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Discord continues at the National Assembly as the floor leader of main opposition Minju Party of Korea boycotted pre-arranged 3-way talks with his counterpart from the ruling Saenuri Party and Assembly Speaker Chung Yu-hwa today. The ruling political bloc's move to revise the controversial National Assembly Advancement Act, a bill proposed by the ruling party through its steering committee, triggered the main opposition Minju Party of Korea to call off the meeting. The opposition claims the ruling party strategically planned on settling the contentious parliamentary bill unilaterally without having it on the agenda for the plenary session. The opposition bloc urged the ruling party to nullify any progress made by the committee, vowing not to participate in any upcoming meetings. The Assembly Speaker had planned on trying to mediate differences between the parties on pending bills and redrawing the country's electoral map. Asian shares, including Korean, managed to recover after some early losses on Monday, but experts say markets remain jittery with global oil prices declining to its lowest level since the year 2003 amid concerns over a global economic downturn. Hwang Ji-hye has the details.
Markets in Asia regained some losses earlier on Monday. Japan's Nikkei closed down just over 1% after falling more than 2%. Korea's benchmark Kospi also erased losses in the morning hours, edging down a mere 0.02%. The slide of Asian shares at market opening came on the back of a big sell-off on Wall Street on Friday when Standard & Poor's 500 index hit a 15-month low. The recovery later in the day is partly attributed to Chinese shares closing up about 0.5% after also experiencing a volatile session.
China's stock market rose slightly and relieved fear of uncertainties coming from China.
But whether such recovery in the markets will continue remains to be seen, with global oil prices extending their decline after international sanctions on Iran were lifted. Iran is gearing up to expand output and exports by 500,000 barrels a day. Due to concerns of oversupply and weakening demand, Brent oil traded down around 2.5% at slightly above $28 a barrel after reaching the lowest level since 2003 of below $28 a barrel in the morning. And experts say the trend is likely to persist for a time being.
Worries about Chinese market volatility and the Federal Reserve's projection for 4 rate hikes this year remain.
The U.S. Fed raised its interest rate for the first time in nearly a decade in December last year, stoking concerns of massive capital outflow from emerging nations. Hwang Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
North Korea is finding itself more and more isolated from the international community following its nuclear test earlier this month. Among various responses, the United Nations has reportedly decided to hold off on an annual goodwill program for North Korean diplomats, and it's not alone in the move. Connie Kim has this story.
The international community has been sending out a strong message to North Korea in response to its 4th nuclear test. The United Nations is taking action by indefinitely pushing back an annual training program for North Korean diplomats. Citing sources close to the UN, Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency reported Monday, the UN nations have opposed supporting the disarmament-related program offered to selected diplomats from the North set to open this month. The program aims to bring change in the reclusive state by teaching the communist officials the international rules on the disarmament and proliferation of nuclear weapons. Diplomats from the North would be invited to the UN's New York headquarters and visit member nations for up to 2 months. But now the possibility is high that the program will be canceled this year. This is just one of many signs of backlash against Pyongyang's provocation. Last week, the World Economic Forum revoked North Korea's invitation to an upcoming forum, blocking it from taking part in global talks.
We invited the DPRK to the annual meeting in Davos because at the time being there have been some convincing, encouraging signals out of DPRK that there maybe is an opportunity for international global dialogue.
North Korea was to attend the 3-day event with hopes of attracting foreign capital. It would have marked the first in 18 years and the opportunity to network with major business figures and world leaders. While China, the North's longtime ally, is contemplating what level of support it'll give to UN sanctions on the North, Seoul's Foreign Affairs Ministry has hinted at measures coming from the UN this week. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
The South Korean military is planning to expedite development of its so-called kill chain system to defend against North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. Officials decided to speed up the process following Pyongyang's 4th nuclear test. For the latest, we turn to Kim Hyun-bin.
In an interview with Korea's Yonhap News Agency on Monday, the head of the Defense Acquisition Program Administration, Chang Myung-jin, announced plans to enhance not only the kill chain weapons system, but also the overall structure, including training of personnel. The kill chain and Korea air and missile defense are the South Korean military's main tools for countering North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. The kill chain is a system to carry out a preemptive strike on North Korea's nuclear and missile facilities upon imminent threat and is scheduled to be installed by 2023. Chang also added that it will put more effort in developing Patriot missiles and long-range surface-to-air missiles to better counter North Korea. The South Korean military is reviewing whether to push for early implementation of the system after Pyongyang conducted its 4th nuclear test. Chang also added that the DAPA sent a detailed request for the first time last week to the U.S. for all the sub-technology transfers needed to develop Korea's indigenous fighter jet project. Korea and the U.S. previously agreed on the transfer of 21 key technologies last December. Chang says discussions on technology transfers could take up to 3 years, but emphasized that other options will be explored to continue the project should talks with Washington break down. The KFX project aims to develop 120 homegrown fighter jets by 2026 to replace its aging fleet of F-4s and F-5s. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Cancer diagnosis is often a painfully slow process taking weeks or even months, giving the cancer more time to grow and spread. Some good news, a group of researchers from Korea and the U.S. are working to expedite the diagnosis process. They're trying to reduce it down to just 1 day. Park Se-young shares with us the welcome news.
This mouse has colorectal cancer and breast cancer. A Korean and American joint research team injected the mouse with nanocapsules, which seek out cancer cells and release fluorescent substances. When the capsules are injected into the body and exposed to light, the organic dye inside the capsule glows in different colors depending on the type of cancer. In the mouse, the colorectal cancer cells turn green and the breast cancer cells turn blue. With the new technology, cancer can be diagnosed within 24 hours.
Using one source of light, we can not only diagnose more than 2 types of cancer, we'll also be able to see how much the cancers have spread.
The team used an up-conversion dye that emits short wavelength color with high energy levels when exposed to long wavelength light with low energy levels. 2 different types of dye are placed inside the nanocapsule, which is why different colors of cancer cells appear. The silicon nanocapsule and long wavelength light are also harmless to the human body. Although more research needs to be done with humans, the research team says the new method could reduce pain and the financial burden for patients. The finding was published in the January issue of the American Chemical Society's journal, ACS Nano. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
And these are the stories we're following at this hour. Thank you for watching. More updates coming your way at 10 p.m. Korea time.